Jotaro and his companion's trip to Egypt won't be so easy. Find out why in my review of the 4th episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders. First and foremost, do not get on a plane with Joseph Joestar. This is the 3rd time this has happened, and I cannot believe they actually brought it up in this week's episode. But this week's episode of JoJo was so damn awesome! I love this show so much, you guys. This is like in my top 5 already. I'm completely enamored by everything about it. So, what was really great about this week's episode is that it introduced a couple of stand users, one who's going to be an enemy and one who's definitely going to become a friend. I only say that because the intro completely gives it all away, but still, it is one hell of an introduction. But this week, frankly, was metal as all shit. Some crazy stuff went down this week. So, all of our friends are hanging out on this plane on their way to Egypt, and they're being accosted by this stand user who has this weird beetle that he can control, known as the Tower of Grey. Now, you'd think that it's a beetle, it probably has some weird bug-like abilities. No, this thing, what it does is, it rips your tongue out with this weird little, like, mandible thing, like, straight out of Aliens that comes out of its mouth. And there's this one scene where it starts to attack the passengers on this plane, who, by the way, must have all just taken, like, some sedatives, because they're all sleeping very heavily. But what it does is, it goes behind this one dude's head, and then it blasts through his skull and goes through 2 more guys' heads, taking their tongue. It then takes the tongue and writes "Massacre" on the wall with the blood from the tongue. First 10 minutes of the episode, nothing really even started yet. That just let me know that this series is just gonna go crazy and do it at once. And it's not like to say there haven't been some crazy scenes in JoJo before. Look back on the series that came before this. Look at the squirrel scene. If you've seen JoJo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what I love so much about this series. It's so creative, and I can't really compare it to anything. But the battle that they have with the Tower of Grey is really intense. Star Platinum actually can't even fight against it because it's moving so fast, and that's saying quite a lot because Star Platinum's powers are all based around being really quick in all of his precise movements. And there's even a scene where it tries to steal Star Platinum's tongue, but it bites down on it right before it gets to it, and it's just so intense. But eventually they do find out who the stand user is, and actually it's Noriaki Kakyoin who ends up taking this guy out with a combination of his big Emerald Splash move and the weird little tendrils he was hiding all over the place, which just like spear it in all these different directions and rip it in half. The entire sequence here is animated really, really well. Another thing that I really like is whenever the action scenes actually start, they put this color overlay over everything, and that just sort of lets you know that things are about to get really intense. And after they take this guy out, you have Joseph who's trying to land this plane, and then the guy finally suddenly comes back, and I'm like, enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking beetles on this motherfucking plane! So the old dude's all like, Dio's gonna fuck your shit up, and then blood explodes everywhere, and then he just dies. And then they manage to actually get out of this situation okay. But this is when they finally realize they're not going to be able to take any planes to Egypt anymore, because Dio's just going to keep sending more of his goons to take them out. And they arrive in China, and this is where they meet this other brand new character who has this stand called the Silver Chariot. And he just seems like a normal French tourist at first, but you know he's definitely not normal because 1, you've seen him in the intro, 2, he's got a very distinctive design, and 3, he immediately starts to let them know that he means business because he takes this like little carrot that's cut into a star and he's like, huh, this reminds me of something. And then he puts it up against his neck and then suddenly everybody puts the pieces together and that's when he summons his Silver Chariot, which is this armored knight looking thing, which just looks awesome, and it has this fencing sword which can apparently light things on fire. In fact, he actually starts a battle with Abdul. That might actually be who he's after. And there's this table that's turned over, and he makes this clock out of fire, like all the numbers are made of fire, and he tells Abdul, you know, you only have so much time to fight me until that clock goes down, and that's where the episode ends, giving us our walk like Egyptian thing again, which is just friggin' awesome. I love this show. I love it so much. If I could somehow pour it over pancakes and eat it, I would. I just can't get enough of it. I cannot wait to see more from what the series is going to do because of how creative it is and how really brutal it can get. And something I do think is interesting is a lot of the times the series is incredibly violent, especially that scene where the beetle was like going through all of those dudes' heads at once. But they usually like cover it up with like some black coloring so you can't see all of the detail of the gore. And I'm guessing maybe eventually if they release them on like a DVD or Blu-ray release that maybe they'll get rid of those and they'll show you all the nastiness. but I'm glad they're not outright cutting out all the blood like in Toriko or anything. They're real, going full force. This is a really nutty, crazy series. And just the fact that they've introduced so many characters at such a lightning pace is insane. So let me give you the rundown on this week's episode of JoJo. The animation and artwork was pretty stellar throughout. It all looked really clean. Whenever there was an action scene taking place, it looked really, really awesome. Whenever there was like a big hit that was taking place, you felt the impact. And all of the bloody, creepy moments were just the way they were supposed to be. The voice acting is still pretty impressive from a lot of the characters. I absolutely love listening to Joseph Joestar as an old man. He's always ornery about everything except at the end when he was hanging out at the Chinese restaurant and having all the weird, ridiculous food, and just all the stuff going on in the background. There's a lot of attention to detail there, but the story itself was really entertaining, really fun. I did not see where it was going, and I cannot wait to see what's up with this French guy in the Silver Chariot. So, I loved this episode. I thought the pacing was good as well, and since I don't read the manga series, I don't know what's going to happen next, so that's probably just increasing my excitement for this series. So, I implore you, if you have not checked out Stardust Crusaders or any of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime, check them out. They are awesome if you're into fun action and just ridiculous characters with actually a surprisingly good story and a lot of attention to detail in terms of artwork and animation. So, badass episode. I love this one. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Check it out, JoJo fans. It kicks ass. If you guys had a chance to check out this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders, I would love to hear your thoughts about it, and you can tell me with your comments below. Please tell me about your favorite moments. What do you think of the introduction of Silver Chariot? And what was the deal with that freaky Tower of Grey beetle? And what do you want to see from the future of Stardust Crusaders? Remember guys, before you leave, make sure and give this video a like, a thumbs up. It really, really helps. It's very easy to do as well. And if you want to see all of our anime and manga reviews, make sure and subscribe to the channel. And you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And if you would like to donate to Super Kami Guru 9000, you can check out the link below. $2 a month, that's all we're asking for, no pressure. So, I'll see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000, out.